Alright guys, so it's been a few days since I last shot the last scene that you guys did. I went ahead and ordered some stuff from Rocky Mountain, and I came home from work today and they were on the doorstep. So we're ready to rock and roll and change this stator out. So I went ahead and bought the OEM stator. I don't think they make aftermarket stators. I don't know for sure. But yeah. I don't know. Whoop, the tripod's underneath it. But I also got just a flywheel puller. I only have the flywheel pullers for the 4-strokes. So now I have them for the 2-stroke. Last time when I put in my heavy flywheel, it was Cole's, who I borrowed. Got a new gasket for the cover, which, you know, I think it went bad because the gasket doesn't really seal very good anyway. And then I got new screws for the stator. Sorry, I drew a blank there. I got 3 new screws for it, just in case there's any chance that I mess those up. I don't like to halfway do anything on my bike, so if it's a little kind of iffy, replace it. You know, it's OEM screws aren't that expensive. And then when I was over at Brian's house, I lost one of the little M8 bolts that goes to the stator, and we had to just put any old M8, like an old dirty one, just random. I don't like doing that. Like I said, I'm very meticulous about my bike, so I went and spent $1 or whatever it cost and got the correct bolt. Alright, so first things first, I got the 17mm on my electric impact, and we're gonna go ahead and zip the nut off. There she goes. So that's off. And now what we're gonna have to do is get our flywheel tool, flywheel remover tool, the puller. Why can't I speak? And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some of my grease, and I'm gonna put the grease on the threads, like a lot. I'm just gonna glob it on, because that way you don't break your tool. Sorry about that, like, okay. And if I can get the thread started. Whoops. I'm gonna screw this guy on until it bottoms out. If it ever oh. Hello, it's a reverse thread. So that's what it is. It's a reverse thread. I wasn't thinking. I'm just gonna hold. I'll hold the flywheel. And there she goes. She's off. Woo! Look at that stator. Alright, so in case you guys were wondering where that washer that fell on the ground when I pulled the flywheel off, it goes right here, and then the nut will sit on top. So when I pulled the nut out, I just kind of forgot to grab the washer out. So that's all that was. And then the way I chose how to pull it was holding on to the flywheel. Some people won't, like that method. So there's 2 other methods you can do to keep the engine from turning. So you could use your clutch holding tool. It's got the 2 little dots that you would set in there. I'm looking through the screen, so it's kind of hard. Oh, there we go. Just like that, and that would keep it. Or this is a little engine stop, and so you screw it into where the piston is. And then you're gonna turn it by hand until it stops. Okay, don't just put it in there and then hit your impact, because you could hurt your engine doing that. But if you just screw it in, turn it by hand, you'll be just fine. And I'm probably gonna use this for installing it, but for taking it off, I just hit it with the impact. There she goes. Broke her loose. Didn't do any damage. Alright, so now slide this bad boy off. I'm wondering if I'm going to have to disconnect my clutch cable. Oh, no, I'm not. It has that rubber grommet. And we'll pull the little factory zip tie off. And there she goes. Oh, God, my leg. Oh, don't step on hammers with broken legs. That hurts. Alright, so something that I briefly want to go over is, see all that grit and grime and dirt and everything? Like, I'm obviously going to clean that out, but what I'm going to do is I might like spray a little bit of Windex on a rag or something like that. And what I'm trying to get at is, please do not take brake cleaner and hose this out, alright? Because this is your crank seal. Okay, it's rubber, and brake cleaner is going to dry that out and harden it up, and that's going to start leaking, and you don't want that leaking because you're going to have an air leak, and your bike's going to run like crap. Oh, great, my battery's dying. So, yeah, don't do that, alright? Clean it up by hand very carefully. Do not use brake cleaner. If you have contact cleaner, go for it. That stuff's safe. But, I'm just probably going to spray a little Windex on a rag or something and wipe that out. Alright, so now taking a look at my stator, I'm going to guess what went wrong is right there. See that burnt spot? There it is, right there. That's our problem. Now here's one thing I'm going to have to figure out, is normally with your ignition timing, because you could advance it or retard it. I think that's the orientation, advance, retard, I don't know. But how I would do it before is there's the marks, so that's what I would know how to do. So I'm going to have to do some digging in the manual and see if there's any marks to a line or anything like that. So let me figure that out, and then I'll start filming again. Okay, I think I made a pretty crucial mistake about putting the taking the stator off and putting it back on, because where does it say? So you got your ignition timing. You have 0.18 millimeter, which is 1/1000th of an inch, before top dead center. I did not put my bike at top dead center when I took that off. I didn't know. Like I said, I don't do any of this electronic stuff, so I'm just gonna have to kind of figure it out. Alright guys, so I did figure it out, but I don't have a dial gauge on how to check it. But there's a secondary way which I'm figuring out how to check it. So what you're supposed to do is, there's a dial gauge on there. You'll put the engine up to top dead center when it goes all the way up, and it stops before it starts to go down, and you would zero it out, and then it says to rotate the engine clockwise until you get 1/1000th of an inch, okay? I can't do that because I don't have the tool right now. But what I did see is it says check the ignition timing, alright? Punch mark A on the rotor. The rotor is the flywheel here in this case. See, there's A. So there's a mark there. It needs to be in line. Let's see. On rotor, it should be aligned with punch mark B on the stator, okay? So that's how we're gonna check it without a dial indicator, which I am gonna get because I would really love to advance and retard the timing and kind of see what I could play with. But so what I have up here is I just threw my stator on there. That mark on the flywheel needs to line up with this mark, just like that. So you're gonna turn it. And boom. And so how you're gonna do that is you have to screw this in first, and then on your crank, it's magnetic. I'm trying to do it with one hand. There we go. So you have your woodruff key, which is right there. So it'll only go on one way onto your crankshaft. So this is always going to stay the same. What you're going to have to change is this to make it line up by turning it either way. And that's the simplest way that I can explain it. And you guys already know that I'm not a professional mechanic or electrician at that part, but I get the gist of it. Alright, so what I'm going to do... Oh, and I looked at the manual. Where's my old stator? And I am not, in fact, missing a bolt. There's only supposed to be 3 in the manual. 1, 2, and 3. There's another screw here for something, but there's no marks whatsoever. And the manual says there's only 3. So I just ignore that one. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over here. Hobble, hobble. I clean this up. I'm going to throw it on. And you're going to get a general idea of where it's supposed to go because you have that rubber mount. And I didn't screw up any of the bolts down here, or the screws. They're all in really nice shape still. So I'm just going to go ahead and reuse these and keep the other ones for spares. So I'm going to use my old stator just real quick for a reference. Alright guys, I'm just a hobbyist. And I don't like paying people. There we go, I got a thread started there. I'm not the next up and coming mechanic. Boy, if I had the skills to do that though, I would definitely utilize it. I would love to get paid to work on dirt bikes, especially when they're not my own. Working on your own dirt bike kind of sucks, but helping out others is awesome. If I could get, there we go. A couple threads there, and what I'm going to do is kind of thread those on just a little tight. Just barely, not even snug, because I still want to move this thing back and forth. And what I'm gonna do to get kind of a base test is I'm gonna look at the old marks on my original flywheel, stator, and the marks are almost lined up right with the webbing on there. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do. So right now it would be, I think, retarded a few degrees, which to the naked eye is which is only a little bit, is probably like a ton on there. And now I'm going to kind of just snug it up just a smidge. Still not going to really tighten it. And when I eventually tighten it, I'm going to hit it with the impact. Whoops. And now I'm going to grab what they call on the book is the rotor, and we know it is the flywheel. And I'm just going to stick it on there. And like I said, it'll only go on one way. So you have to find the woodruff key. I think that's it right there. Alright guys, I finally figured out. I got a little flashlight too. There is a line right there on the case. See it? And then the line on my stator. Those need to be in line. So I have to loosen this up. And it needs to be perfect. So I'm going to get nice and low. Still off a little bit. I would say a little retarded. And right there I would call damn near perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up now. Alright, so now I'm even having GoPro problems tonight. I should just call it a night, but I want to get this thing, make sure I have spark. So I just torqued the flywheel down. And what I did is I used my Tusk stop. I put it just before top dead center because if it goes to top dead center, you won't be able to throw it, screw this in. And I screwed it all the way down. And I turned it clockwise until it bottomed out. And I stuck my torque wrench on there, which is set at 40 foot-pounds. I'll hold it with my knee here. £40 Don't zip it on with your electric impact like I took it off. Don't do that. Put it on with the correct torque. You'll thank me later in the long run. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is pull the piston stop out. Using one of these is make sure, like, go really slow until you bottom out, because you don't want to, say, like, if you were to use your impact, you don't want the piston to come up and slam into this thing. So do it by hand or whatever until you feel it bottom out, and then yeah, you're gonna have a little bit more compression because this thing, you know, you got your man, my camera's not focusing. Suck and blow here. If you plug that up, it's harder to turn the engine over. So yeah, be mindful of that. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I am just gonna go ahead and plug my connectors in and see if I have spark. And I'll probably, since my GoPro's acting up, I'll probably just hook up the tripod and set it on my trusty go-kart here. And I'll let you know if I have spark or not. I gotta hold this and try to kick it over. I have spark again. We are back in action. I don't know how to show you, but take my word for it. Take my reaction. Back, baby. We are back. I have spark. I just changed my own stator. Hopefully, you guys learned something.